Welcome back to Black Lotus Buds. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Michael. Thanks for joining us.
We're kicking off our 14th and 3/4 episode on the channel where we're talking all things trading cards. And today we'll be discussing this bullshit, the Blue-Red Guild in Magic the Gathering known as Izet League, and gaming together.
Well, Kevin, I hope you got a hose nearby, a cold bucket or something, because I'm pretty hot about this. I might need you to cool me off. Because I want to talk to you about this bullshit right here. And that is, dude, I think the possibility of me getting Pokemon cards is just dwindling so close to zero, because I'm seeing articles that, like, these products, I saw it was like a Team Rocket modern card set. So it's like a Pokemon, I think it says Rivals, but it has a big R on it. To me, I'm like thinking this is Team Rocket. And I'm seeing articles that, sold out in Pokemon Center. And it's like, I didn't even know they released yet on Pokemon Center. And I'm just kind of getting sick of this bullshit with having to fight scalpers. And what am I supposed to do if I can't enjoy the hobby? I mean, is my choice paying 3 times as much on the secondary market? That just seems like so unreasonable. I don't really want to do it, so I'm thinking maybe getting older boxes that people aren't as interested in just for myself, because doesn't mean I'm completely disinterested in them, but it's like, dude, I can't get products. It's killing me, dude.
Ones that might be
bullshit.
Yeah, that seems a little bit weird. I feel like there's no reason why the hobby needs to be about like scooping up the cards the second they get released. But maybe it's turning into that.
Even the demand was so high at the game store I ordered from. Like, they were supposed to have a reprint, so I ordered 6 booster bundles of the Pokemon set. And they gave me a call. I went up there, I was all excited, and they handed me 1 box. And I knew I got 6, and I kind of expected this a little bit, so it wasn't like a shock. But I said, oh, hey, I ordered 6 of these. Is it limited to 1 per person? And because I assumed it was. And I wanted to show I already understood. And she's like, unfortunately, yes. We were able to reserve it, but we had so many, we only got enough for everybody to get 1. And I was like, okay, cool. And I bought it. But it's like, dude, I ended up, I think I opened 1, actually. I gave 1 away, and now I have, 4 packs left. But, dude, that's pretty scarce pickings, man. I would like a box. I want 1 booster box, basically. When I'm interested in opening cards, that's what I want. I want a booster box, and then I'll probably miss a couple of Pokemon, and then I'll order a booster box. But I can't even get packs, dude. It's killing me.
Is it similar? Is that similar to? It sounds like it is bullshit. I mean, is it similar to Magic with these booster boxes where it's like just a third or a fourth of a regular, actual full blown box of how many packs you're getting?
Yeah, it's priced. It's one of the best prices per pack bundles. So it would rival. It's basically priced exactly how 6 packs would be out of a box, I think.
Okay.
So it's a good deal. It just doesn't come with, all the other stuff comes with, like an Elite Trainer box will have the little tokens. It'll come with card sleeves. It's more of a thing. Like, maybe if you were brand new, a booster box is perfect. You get card sleeves for battling.
Mm-hmm.
You get extra stuff. Probably a rule book, an art book, now a box to carry your cards.
Okay.
But if you have all that, you buy you just want a booster pack, and that's what the bundles are for. It's a good bang for your buck. And then it's in addition to that, you can have just the packs, I guess. You don't have to worry about the trash if you're already established and you're collecting, Sphere.
Do they have collector packs like they do in Magic? Because like a regular pack in Magic is maybe like $6 to $8 a pack. If you're just making, selling it, if they sell it singles, they probably know up the price of those is like $12 to buy one. But the actual price, if you like get a full box and then, divide it by how many packs there are, it's about $6 to $8 a pack. With a collector pack, those sell for individually like $25, and they have all the fun, full art, super crazy foil, textured, all sorts of wild stuff in there. Is there something similar in Pokemon?
No, and I think what you're describing, I think Yu-Gi-Oh has it, and I find it confuses me because I don't understand the differences and stuff. Pokemon does not. It is the same booster pack you get in everything. The only difference are the add-ons. In like some, they call them the blister packs with the like cardboard backs. Some of them come and it includes a promotional Pokemon card that isn't allowed in competitive battling, but it is allowed, or well, it's a collectible still. I guess it's not allowed. It's not allowed in competitive. You could put it in there if you're playing with your friends, but you could never do it in competition. And it's designed just to be a promotional card. It's extra special to get you to buy it. But the packs themselves, like when you open them, the cards you get inside are identical across all products. It's the same exact pack. It's just some come with, like the collector's bundles. I have one, I think, for $151, and if I recall right, there's a metallic Mew card that is exclusive to buying that collector's bundle. But the the booster packs that come, they're the same as the booster packs in the bundle, out of the box, it's all the same stuff.
Wow. Bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I would take any of that stuff. So I guess probably the way to do it, I used to do this at Best Buy. You were limited to like 4 or 6 packs or something like that. But you could buy 4 to 6 packs of every UPC. And I almost wonder if with this card shop, I had ordered a booster bundle and because she tried to get me to buy one. She's like, this is what people really want, is this collector set. And I was like, I appreciate that. I don't want it. It's not that I want to have it. I just have to pick my poison. And this is what I'm getting this time.
Yeah, you might not be able to fault them for it, but really downer when you're looking at it from a year ago, and then now it's just making it a little bit harder to get the amount of cards that you want to rip open.
I can't even buy them. Like, I have these 4 packs, but that is hardly enough to satiate, like, and it's like, I can't buy them at all unless I pay, like, triple or quadruple. And I'm not willing to do that. I like to promote the parts of the hobby that I enjoy, like sending you a PSA slab. And now it's like whether you like it or not, you get it. You know what I mean? You get the full experience. You can hold it. You can see it. Like, you get what this is about. And I love doing that because it's like, whether yours is different or mine, you're going to have some experience. And now we can share our experience. Like, I know what that feels like, and now you know. And it's like, opening these packs this is part of the hobby. And it's like, I can't even do that part. And the part that I like the least is that scalping and price gouging. So it's like, it's turning me off. Like, in order to get the product and to participate at all, I have to participate in the worst part of the hobby, which is just like...
It's like the modern way of doing it now, where they've turned it into this, and not even they as in like the creators of the game, but it's like the people, these scalpers that you're referring to, that only see this as a business, where this is how they're now making a living, is by upselling something that was not upsold a decade ago, and now forcefully like expecting people to break and just pay premium for something that may not even be worth the premium. I don't know. I mean, are the cards that are being put in these sets worth 3 times, 5 times the value right out of the door? Or is it just like, it sounds like it's not the case, and it's just, you're seeing the actual, negatives of what these people behind the scenes are doing.
Wait, what was the question you asked?
It just seems like,
out the door?
Yeah, it just seems like the scalpers are just creating this environment against everybody's well wishes, and now it's pretty much just a part of the culture of collecting Pokemon. You just have to
Well,
break down and
yeah.
just pay this extra fee, more or less, if you're willing to
For
partake
right
in.
now, unfortunately, it is a reality. You're right. You like it is, but it will eventually balance back out. What will happen is Pokemon will print more, and it's funny because there's a balance that is important to being a collector, where you want your cards to be valuable. That's why you're collecting them. And so having demand is what does that. But if Pokemon they print too little and the stores order too little and it's created, there's been a few things that create this. And then unfortunately, if you want Pokemon right now, you're paying extra. And I guess that's why I've almost stepped away for a minute. Like I got what I could, but I'm not sweating it. Like I might buy an old product that's more reasonably priced. I don't know. It's not like, I'm not going to run away from Pokemon, but I'm not paying $150 for a $40 collector box. You know what I mean? I can't do that. I can't justify it.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, there's always Magic the Gathering to get into if you want to start, getting some boxes. We have endless boxes that are still not sold out. I'll actually sell you one if you want. I could mark it up a little bit for you if you wanted to feel that
To give me
same
the full
experience.
experience?
Yeah, to kind of let it bleed into the game that I love so much. But while I'm on that subject, Michael, I think it would be time for us to jump into the next segment where we take two cards in the competitive space of Magic the Gathering and pit them against each other. It is time for this or that. With both cards in hand, which would you play? So tonight, this is Bitter Triumph. I've asked you to look it up so you can see what I'm talking about.
I'm looking at
A
it.
2-mana instant card featuring what only looks to be a demonic dragon slayer. The mana cost 1 colorless, 1 swamp. And it reads, as an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card or pay 3 life. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. That, tonight, is Lightning Strike. A 2-mana instant card featuring an empowered Zeus-like sorcerer with the mana cost 1 colorless, 1 mountain. And it reads, Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to any target. So, Michael, with both in hand, which do you play? And tell me
Okay.
why.
All right, so Bitter Triumph. Yeah, there's a cost to play it, but you just destroy something. And then Lightning Strike, it's 3 damage. And it can be the player. And is there a context for, is there a turn, or is this just in general right now?
They're both instants. So in the moment's notice, play them. Give it whatever context you wish, whether it be at the end of your opponent's turn, before your turn, which I love the most. Oh, by the way, they say, okay, the end of my turn. Well, actually, before you end your turn, now you've declared it's your end step by telling me it's the end of your turn. So before that happens, allow me to spend the rest of my mana, play this instant. So let's put it in that setting. Before they end their turn, what are you throwing out there?
I think I am going to choose Bitter Triumph. And, initially, I guess because it has a negative, I was almost feeling like I'm, counting it out. But just destroy target creature. In the little amount of Magic I've played, there have been times where, dude, this card could have been just such a huge relief, a game changer. And Lightning Strike, obviously, it has 3 damage right to the player. That could be a game ender, man. Zeus's hand, just boom, the game is over. But I think if I have to choose today, I'm going with this because I can remember instances wishing I had this instant. So that's my answer it's this, 100%.
And as always, no right or wrong answer. Tonight, I agree with you, Michael. I think that card can shut somebody down so fast. It's shut me down many times where You might have a creature that you've been working on for a couple turns. It's got a couple +1/+1 counters on it, so maybe you had a 3/3 creature out there, and now it's a 6/6, and maybe you waited to see if your opponent was going to block. They don't, so now you add an additional +4/+4. You think you're going to be dealing them 10 damage, and all of a sudden, Bitter Triumph shows up, takes that creature out. Doesn't matter how much life it has, destroy target creature, period. So, and then of course the same thing with a Planeswalker. Planeswalker could be beefed up and you just wipe it out. There's no context as far as how much life the thing has or whatever. It doesn't matter if destroy it means destroy it. So I agree, and way to go.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good one. I love Lightning Strike, but, it does have its weakness. Sometimes it just isn't as powerful as you need it to be. You could be blocking a creature of theirs, and they might have 4 toughness, and your Lightning Strike might just be enough to kill it, and then now they add another instant on their creature where they add another +2/+2, or just, pick a number, and it could just be enough to, make your Lightning Strike worthless. So all in all, I would say Bitter Triumph is the better card.
It's a cool card. It's funny because I wonder how many of these I'll actually remember as I play.
I think when you're playing in a ranked match, or just like in a match where you're getting some emotions kicked up, maybe towards the end of the match, you're like, I just need something to pull to win. And then you pull Bitter Triumph, you're going to go, I fucking remember this card, and this is the time to use it. There's a lot of cards like that. I mean, as we've talked about, 40-some thousand cards.
I'm imagining like Unstoppable Slasher.
He doesn't really need much help. Yeah, he doesn't need a lot of help at all. Just he whips out that saw blade and just the opponent just bows down. I never think of it the opposite way, where somebody shows me Unstoppable Slasher. I always think of it like, that's the card I'm playing. Don't you dare pull out Unstoppable Slasher against me.
It's like an insult.
Yeah.
How dare? Do you know who I am? Unstoppable Slasher against me. I mean, I've spoken on that card. How dare you?
We've probably got like 10 minutes of talking points just with Unstoppable Slasher. One of my faves of the recent sets. Any new favorite Pokemon from the new sets? I mean, we have favorites from back in the day, but
no, to be honest, I don't have any. I don't have any new Pokemon that I'm like that I have a favorite over in probably a Gen 1 or an old, Gen 1, 2, or 3 maybe. But Gen 1 is my favorite. And I just haven't seen them a lot. And it's like, I'm not seeing them in the cards because I can't open any of the cards. So, and I haven't watched the show in forever. I am interested in... I originally had seen, they were like, Ash was done, and there was going to be this new, Captain Pikachu, but I've never actually watched it. It's been a while since I was binging shows. It takes a lot to... I know I love Pokemon, but even watching, just starting from season 1 and watching all of Pokemon, that would be, quite the event.
Yeah.
Quite the undertaking. But, I mean, there was one that was like an engine, which I thought was interesting, because I think in the cards, they're in different machines. And I was confused about that. I'm not even sure if that's true. But I have one, I couldn't even figure out what he was for a while, and then I realized he's the engine. So he was cool, but I don't even know. I would probably pick something cute and fuzzy.
Wait, engine as in like an Aether Drift scenario with Magic right now, or Transformers where
okay, so there's a Chandelier Pokemon, and there's an ice cream cone Pokemon, and now there is an engine, a V6, it's your Honda Civic, and you lift it out of your car, but it's a Pokemon.
Oh.
And now, I don't know how it works. It could be kind of magic based, where the Pokemon is like a Ditto, and it can like stretch or transform or directly, maybe it's electric, and it zaps into the car, and now it can take control of the engine. Or I don't know if it is like a V engine, and it has to like be installed. I don't know. It's called like Rev of Room or something.
The first keyless Pokemon. Keyless
Really,
start
there's a
Pokemon.
key Pokemon too, which is funny. But honestly, I used to be really bothered by the addition of weird object Pokemon, but some of it I learned appreciation for, because I learned why Japan, or I guess those Japanese creators, put it in there. Like, there's one that is supposed to be like a spirit, or it's like the concept of when, in Japan, when an object is around for long enough, it has its own soul. So that was kind of like what some of the non-sentient, like object-like sentience was in the Pokemon cards.
That's cool.
So I learned a little more appreciation, and at one point I just decided, Star Wars, I didn't like how the new series, I felt like, broke the importance of Darth Vader to the original two trilogies, or like a Marvel movie, the hero won't be exactly how I imagine them. And sometimes that bothers me and it turns me off. And I had to just say, for Pokemon, I'm just such a super fan. I was like, you know what? Fucking Revavroom, whatever you are, I'm gonna like you too. So it's like I have an approach to Pokemon where I kind of think all of it's cool. But I used to, like, when that ice cream cone Pokemon came out, I was just like, what are we doing? Like, Pokemon used to be about animals and bugs.
Yeah.
And now it's getting weird, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's like, this is weird.
Well, people love their chandeliers, so in that context, I'm going with the chandelier Pokemon. I'm sure it lights up the room.
It does. It's probably a move.
That was that joke just was a miss completely.
Wait, did I not get it?
No, I just was trying to add humor to it, but clearly it was a low. It was
How do you
it was a
know?
dim.
How
it
do
was
you
a
know
dim
without an
point.
audience? Like,
I know, right?
because like comedians do that and they bomb, but you're just assuming that could have been a killer joke, man. That might be on a T-shirt in like a month. Like, you never know.
Michael, we have you are my audience right now, so that sums it up.
Just crickets.
Total silence. Yeah. While we're talking the in-depth discussions about the games, we can jump into another guild in Magic if you want to hear one. No?
Yeah, dude, I'm ready. I've waited for this this segment,
Good.
or this discussion, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
but I like hearing about the decks.
Yeah, so we started with Boros, right? That was the first time we discussed this, red and white, and then we went into Gruul, red and green, and then last episode we got into House Demir, which was all about blue and black, featured in World Magic Championship 30, with some of those guys just destroying with a blue and black deck. And this week we're going to talk about Izzet League, which is the red and blue guild of Magic the Gathering, and I've summed it up to just pretty much be the deck where speed and trickery merge to overtake your opponent with effective spells that stack, stall, and slice through their strategy. So it's heavily focused on instants and sorcery spells, also drawing cards, reducing the cost of spells is a big one, and then buffing whatever creatures you have to deal damage to your opponent. So it's a lot of like low-level creatures. Of course, there can be larger creatures, but very much a deck where it's just getting these creatures that help you get spells played and put out there. And those creatures that deal maybe no damage or little damage, but their abilities are reducing the cost of the spells that you have in your hand. That seems to be the big point of this deck. It's all about red versus blue. In other words, heart versus mind, spontaneous impulses versus methodical decisions. So that is the Izzet League. And, with that, the creatures you're going to find in there, wizards, birds, pirates.
Did you tell us the color already?
Yeah, red and blue.
Oh, dang. I missed that. I was going to say blue and something else.
You're right, man.
I would have guessed red.
So when I say heart versus mind, what colors are you thinking? Which color represents which? Heart
versus mind?
Mind.
I would have thought that, mind, I was thinking blue. Like, when you said methodical, I was like blue.
Yes, exactly. Right? That's exactly it.
And then red, I think like bum rush.
Yes, spontaneous
or
impulses.
Like boom, boom, boom. Like,
yep. Exactly.
It's all. I still remember the bombardment match. It is funny how little Magic I've played, and some of the matches did make an impression, whether good or bad. Like, I do remember them still.
And a mechanism of a particular card, or whatever you're looking at. I mean, the commander that's common in this Izzet League is called Niv Mizzet Perun or Perun. I don't really know the pronunciation, but if you pull that up, Michael, you're going to see how insane these commander cards get in Magic. So Niv Mizzet, go ahead, if you have it pulled up, just start reading the abilities of that card.
All right, Niv Mizzet. This is like a very proud red dragon. It says, this spell can't be countered. Flying is its ability, and then it says, whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet Perun deals 1 damage to any target. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card.
Hallelujah. One of my favorite words in the game of Magic the Gathering. Whenever. That means literally whenever. So that means if you, during your turn, you do something that triggers that 3 times, it's going to trigger it every single time. If your opponent does something that might trigger it, it's going to trigger it, whether it be on your turn or on their turn. So it's an amazing ability, and especially when you have something like this, dealing them or dealing anything 1 damage. I mean, there's cards out there that if they get dealt damage, things start having to get sacrificed from the opponent. So you can easily target yourself and force your opponent to start ruining their strategy just based off of your ability to target whatever you need to in that context. And of course, drawing cards. Big staple in this deck.
Bro, I wish I could play a deck with this card. This looks fun. I've never seen a card that made me want to, like, as you mentioned, like, seeing a card and wanting to build a deck around it. Dude, this might be the style if I were going to try, because I can be a little methodical, but also it still has my, like, oomph. And then, like, dude, just think of a deck where that's what you're doing is drawing cards. That this card is you're just dealing damage every time you're drawing. It's just, that's sick.
Yeah, I mean, every time during the upkeep step of your turn, and that also means your opponent's turn, they're drawing a card, right? So at the beginning of your turn, you always untap all your stuff on the battlefield, and then you draw a card. So right away, but pretty much as soon as that happens, now you have what's considered to be technically an instant right there, which is this ability that triggers. Now, before anything else would happen, you're going to be able to deal 1 damage to any target. And the only way your opponent is going to be able to respond is if they have something that is just like that, like an instant, where it's either an instant card in their hand or an ability that they have on the battlefield that they're able to trigger right away without needing to wait around. So this is a huge, demanding card to, demand something out of your opponent, which is to counter whatever's happening. And the thing that's, overlooked, but this spell can't be countered, forget trying to play against this card with another blue deck, because all you're trying to do is keep something like this from showing up on the battlefield, and you pretty much can't, other than destroying it. Let it show up and then try to kill it right away. Use Bitter Triumph against it.
Can I ask you about this Niv Mizzet, this dragon? When, say, your opponent, they cast an instant or a spell.
Mm-hmm.
Does that affect resolve before you draw your card? Because, I assume it would have to. Because I guess I'm thinking of the scenario where they have an instant where they would win, but if you deal one more damage, you would win.
So
is that a stalemate, or is that
let's say
instant takes effect first?
Perfect. So let's put this in the context that you have Bitter Triumph, you're playing a black deck, and I have Niv Mizzet, okay? And you end your turn. Now it's my turn. So whenever you draw a card, which would be me, right? So whenever I draw a card, it will deal 1 damage to any target. So what happens is now it's the beginning of my turn, the upkeep step. I untap everything, and now I draw a card. That triggers the ability for me now to be able to deal 1 damage to any target. That is what's considered to be on the stack. So if you play an instant, it's as if you're put your left hand, your palm up and put it on the table right now. That is the ability of this card. Whenever I draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target. That's on the stack. Now take your right hand palm up and put it on top of your left hand. That is now your Bitter Triumph. So your Bitter Triumph is on the stack. Now your Bitter Triumph is going to resolve before my ability to deal 1 damage will resolve. So you get to now use the Bitter Triumph and destroy this target creature. Well, now this creature will go away. However, anything that was on the stack will still resolve. So you could destroy this creature, but if I drew that card and this was on the battlefield, that ability is out there. That ability will resolve. That 1 damage will go somewhere.
Well, so what happens in that scenario?
So you could...
If it's like a game-winning instance versus this Niv Mizzet.
So the game-winning instance, if it's on top of the stack, that game-winning instance is going to resolve first. So let's say it was Lightning Strike. Let's just say, in this context.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. So now you have one.
Kill the player.
Let's just make it easy. I have 3 life. You have 1 life. My turn. You pass the turn to me. Everything untaps. I draw a card, which now allows me to have this ability trigger, where I would be able to deal 1 damage to any target. You immediately play Lightning Strike with 2 untapped mana, and you deal that damage to me. That damage is going to resolve before I get to deal any 1 damage to any target. And the better addition to that is, if you have the untapped mana, you would never pass the fucking turn to me to give that ability to trigger to give me to let me deal 1 damage to anything. If you have that mana to spend and it's your turn, before you let me untap all my lands to be able to try to counter or do anything else to your Lightning Strike, you want to get that Lightning Strike damage dealt to me as much as possible.
So the Lightning Strike resolves first.
Yep, yeah. Anything on top of the stack. And then when you're playing with instants, right, you play Lightning Strike. Let's say I have enough of a deck or, colors to be able to play Bitter Triumph. Once again, in this context, to make it easier. If I now play Bitter Triumph after you've played Lightning Strike, now Bitter Triumph is on top of the stack, and everything resolves in order from the top of the stack down. So
so an instance could save you if you had another spell.
But pretty much that is the only thing other than an ability such as one of these, which is like whenever a player casts an instant or a sorcery spell, you draw a card, because what would happen is, with this Niv Mizzet on the battlefield, you play Lightning Strike, and now you're going to deal me 3 damage. Well, that will now trigger this ability of this card, since you played an instant, I would then draw a card and still have the ability to respond. But now, once again, I'm only going to be able to respond with an instant, not with a sorcery or an enchantment or a creature or a planeswalker, any of that shit. It's out the window. It's literally just going to be an instant or an ability of a card where you might see like a little arrow on some cards, and that means like tap this card, whether it be a creature or something else, and it gets to do something. That is, in most cases, unless it tells you otherwise, just like an instant where you can add it to the stack after somebody plays an instant, like Bitter Triumph. So it makes it fun because that's where this game gets wild, where a lot of times, especially with a blue color deck, you're going to notice that whoever's playing with blue, they don't tap all their mana. And they're doing that because they have, most of the time, something to play to either counter the opponent's spell or prevent whatever the opponent is trying to do. They've got something that might require a little bit of mana to impede that strategy.
Well, did you have anything else to add about Izzet League?
There's other cards that are out there, but, at the end of the day, I think I touched on it. Wizards, there's going to be birds, pirates, dragons. There's creatures with flying, haste, and all sorts of just quick things to get you moving. So, yeah, that's the Izzet League in a nutshell.
Well, then, it's about time for our next segment.
Ooh, and what might that be, Michael?
Well, you'll have to tell us. I think it's a first. The first we've heard of this one.
Well, you are not wrong. It is the grand reveal of something we'd like to call time-tested trades, where we discuss historic and iconic cards from all trading card games. And tonight we're just going to be discussing a card that's very common, very well-known, I hope, Blastoise, from the original set of Pokemon, arguably known for its collectability from the very beginning. And I think we all know Blastoise. What are the other cards you'd put up there with Blastoise?
Like for iconic Pokemon cards?
Yeah.
It would, from the original, it's got to be the 3 starters, Pikachu, and like there are other icons, but those would be top 4. Easy.
Pikachu, Blastoise.
Yeah, any of the 3 evolution, like Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, and then their, pre-evolutions. I would say, because everybody started in the games with those, so everybody had a relationship to one of those.
Yep, yeah, and then having one in foil makes it so much better. It's priceless, especially now if you look at it and say, well, what is it worth? I looked it up so that you don't have to, and damaged Blastoise right now, totally damaged, destroyed, scratched, burned, ripped, torn, whatever. What's the price of a damaged, heavily played Blastoise? What do you think?
Considered heavily played?
Heavily played.
$220.
Well, you're not too far off. It's roughly 100. And who knows what condition that's going to be, other than the description is heavily played and damaged. So, yeah, maybe it's a third of the card and the rest of it's handwritten.
There's a heavily played, I think, and a damaged. I think damage is worse than heavily played.
Ooh.
I think.
Well, I don't think I'm going to be too fond of buying either for $100. But at the end of the day, it's crazy how something that could be considered damaged or heavily played is in those triple digits in the American dollar realm. Crazy.
I'm gonna look it up.
I want to know how much you paid for it.
Not a Blastoise. It was a Charizard.
Did you buy a PSA 10 Blastoise, Michael?
No, I wish, dude.
Now, if you had to guess, how many cars do you think a PSA 10 or Beckett 10, let's just go with PSA 10 Blastoise is today, 2025? Name your price.
Of a PSA 10 Blastoise?
Yep, throw it out there.
Base set.
Yep.
I would say $32,000.
Whoa, crazy. A little bit too high, but you're on the right track. 11 grand. This is what I found for
Yeah, that's a steal.
On like it did kind of seem like I'm looking for like the lower end. And it's, I don't know if it was first edition or just like, once again, just simply from that base set. But if you're looking at a PSA 10, the least I could find was about that $11,000 price range. Crazy. Because again, like this cord, in my mind, does kind of represent time-tested trades, where it's just all about it being worth something that people appreciate and are willing to pay. This isn't a joke. People aren't throwing it out there at 11,000 to try to, get you to pay it. It seems like currently that is the actual price of that card, which is just unbelievable. And side note, I mean, strength in the actual game, I would think, has to add something to that. It probably adds to the collectability, which is probably true with any of these extremely strong, characters in these sets. I mean, who doesn't love a turtle? We got Ninja Turtles. We got to save the sea turtles from our straws. Even that boy who made that famous line, "I love turtles." on that.
It's a good because like who can come back from that? What are they gonna be like? I hate turtles. Like, nah, that person's wrong. Like
you offend me if you don't like Blastoise. Look, seeing it makes me feel like a kid again. It carries those memories through all these years, and that's why I want to bring it up tonight. So, my question to you, Michael, to kind of conclude this segment is, do you think it'll last the test of time? Is this a time-tested trade in your mind? Would you trade for Blastoise?
Yeah, this is time-tested because no matter what, like you're thinking like throughout the time you have different generations, they all have different interests. Either Pokemon will just be irrelevant completely, or if it is relevant, then I don't see it being anything but time tested, because the way the show works and the way they advertise is they keep those iconic Pokemon in there. So no matter what generation you are, it's just like when Ash left, what did they replace him with? I can't tell you who, but I can tell you there was a Pikachu. And so even when they change, they say it's time for change. What stays the same? Their icon. So I don't think they'll ever go away, and there will always be new crowd favorites, but I don't think they'll ever go away from some of their most like time-tested Blastoise, even the newer generation, the Umbreon, those top dogs like the Blastoise, Pikachu, Charizard, time-tested, not going away. Venusaur, I won't forget him either, but they're staying.
Nice. I always wondered what weapon Blastoise is carrying, because it seems like it's like a turret. Yeah, like a rocket launcher looking like tube of some sort.
It's specifically a cannon. It's sick. Honestly, dude, there's some variants now. So I don't even know the details of all of them. Like, I know there was a Alolan, but like there might be one out there that has like an AK-47 popping out. You never know.
He's going for the lighter style.
I do have one thing I did want to talk to you about, and that is kind of I named it Gaming Together for our topic here. But I wanted to just make sure I touch back with you, because in our gaming lives, you have been playing some Path of Exile. I know. I don't know exactly what other games you play other than Path of Exile 2, but I have strongly moved away from that, and I still am interested in it. I just want to let them cook before the next update. And I'm going to be playing Elder Scrolls like strongly, because I've got back into it and I have a lot of things I can grind, and that a lot of things I haven't experienced. And so now I have my sights set on something. And that had been level 100 in Path of Exile 2, but I am not a strong enough player to kind of breach endgames and enjoy them. So at level 90, I kind of fell flat for me, and I want to wait and let them cook. So I don't want that to mean that we kind of stop gaming. So I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, what do you want to, do you want to try to set, we don't have to have a date or nothing, just like in the next 2 weeks, the next month, like set aside and play whenever it's convenient. But do you want to try to play like a Path of Exile 2? Like go back with our hardcore? Would you rather do like a magic session, like an arena? Or we could even, and dare I say it, we could maybe even do something completely brand new. Like it doesn't even have to be those genres. We could just dick around.
Wow. I love
But yeah.
I love the open-endedness to this. I mean, I feel like we should just be flipping and just letting this all ride on chance at this point. I mean, let's just throw in Pokemon Pocket while we're here. I mean, let's.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Pocket.
I know, right? We mentioned it in the beginning when it first came out, and then we both just kind of shunned away from it as if it doesn't exist. We have friends that are playing it all the time.
I didn't even think about it. I don't know what got me out of collecting it. Do you know what it is?
I've got a buddy who's got all of the Pokemon, so he wins in my mind. I can't compete with him, but what is it?
Oh, that's for you. Okay, so for me,
it is.
I was chasing. So it's the same thing I do. Sometimes in the past, I had a chase card that I had to get. I would just keep buying until I found one. Nowadays, I would buy it. I would probably just buy it off of
TCG.
The secondary market. It's already been pulled, and I'll open enough to feel the excitement of can I get it myself. But in Pokemon Pocket, I was chasing the Charizard. There's a crown. The rarest card you can pull is a crown card, and I was chasing the crown card from the Charizard booster, and they got rid of it. They cycled it out. They have a new one. They have a couple of the old ones. I think there's a Mew one, but they don't give it to me as an option to play, and I stopped logging in. It wasn't like a decision. I just didn't notice. Like, I used to log in every day specifically because I'm like, this is going to be the day I'm going to get this Charizard. Like, I want this crown card.
Yep.
And when they removed it, I don't even know what the crown cards are for the other ones. But they removed that objective. And it's the same with Paths of Exile. When I couldn't get to level 100, that had been my objective. I said, you know what? We'll pause on this. I just stopped for a little while. The same with Pokemon. I'm like, I don't have the thing I'm after, so instead of logging into that, I'm logging into Elder Scrolls because that's the mission. That's the objective. I haven't even thought about it, dude. Man,
Gosh.
Well, I was thinking more of like, when I said that, I was thinking of like some nonsense like on Xbox or like some 2-player game. To be honest, dude, I'm not in the gaming space enough. Like Marvel Rivals, I think you might have brought up. That would be a good one. Something like that, or just something random and good. I don't know, to be honest. I'm like out of the loop a little bit because I tend to fixate on, like, I'm searching for a bingeable game.
Yeah,
you want
to
Path of Exile is.
Yeah, reach the highest ranks you can be, the highest difficulty, the highest level, the hardest mode. The most rewarding prize. Back in D2 is those set items, but looking at it in Path of Exile terms, it's these crazy end game items that you can only reach or obtain when you reach the end game. Hardcore, if you're on hardcore and you're just dying a whole bunch like I like to do, apparently getting through a couple of these acts, you're just looking for the fun unique that shows up. So yeah, I think it'd be fun to mess around on Path or mess around on of course, like you just said, Magic. I mean, at the end of the day, I think our listeners want to hear us talk about Magic, and especially if we're playing against each other. So I think that would be fun to bring up a talking point on if we do go with Magic. But
you want to hear something crazy?
I want to hear something crazy. I do.
Oh, dude,
bring it to me. Share it with me.
You know what? All right, this is because we don't have the segment. I'm gonna torture you like in Sedgem Satisfaction. You tell me what is in the Elder Scrolls Online. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna tell you. It's a trading card game. In the game.
Ooh.
Like I can get cards, I can collect them, I can battle other people for rewards. And I'm excited to tell you because it's on topic and is like hype me up. But to be honest, I have almost zero interest in playing it. Like not like I wouldn't, or I eventually will, but when I log in, I'm not. That is not why I play Elder Scrolls. Like I am leveling, I'm gearing, and I'm dungeoning, and I'm not even doing that last one. That's just why I'm leveling and gearing is to eventually do that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's neat that it has. It's just like a weird. I would have never even. I would have kind of shit on it if we're being frank. Like why the hell are we putting a trading card game into Elder Scrolls? But now that I'm appreciating, like, last year I made it my mission to try to appreciate more games. That's why I started getting Magic and I love Dragon Ball Z. Never played the game though, but now I have cards, like, and same Yu-Gi-Oh and all that. So I thought it was interesting.
And I who knows if we're gonna post this episode, but what's cool to me is that what you just said was that you found a new appreciation for appreciating all games, all these trading card games, and Magic. You stumbled into and were starting to get hooked into before you and I even started speaking, and then you found that I'm obsessed with it, and I reminded myself how dedicated you are to Pokemon. So I find that amazing and cool that we both kind of found our own love with each of the card games, and then have realized that some of these we really both have a strong passion for.
Well, Magic, it had it on lock because I default I was Pokemon, right? And I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid. Never Magic, never Dragon Ball, none of the other ones I played. One Piece, right. I don't even know if that existed. But when I started looking, like, what are the trading cards? Like, what are the games? Dude, Magic's on top of every search. Like, the internet was like, you're looking up trading cards and you didn't think to type Magic the Gathering? I was like, oh god, okay, all right. Like, I don't. Because it's so big, dude. It's so enormous.
You just
so
autocorrect feature.
Before I even knew, like, I was like, "Which cards am I collecting?" And Google was like, "You're collecting Magic." Okay, put that on the list.
You're like, "What's the magic in collecting trading cards?" They're like, "Magic the Gathering is the magic in collecting trading cards." That's what that's what you want. And sure enough,
fun. I still want to get into like I guess I want more. And I'm going to say it differently now, because this is the truth. I want friends that play Magic the Gathering. Because I always talk about, I just can't get myself to go up to the stores and, like, meet new people. But I'm always thinking about it as in, like, I'm a passerby. And it doesn't interest me. I want to, like, meet people that I'm like, I know them. And there's a rivalry. Like, I'm like, oh, Kevin won last time. I'm going to win this time. Or I built this deck specifically to take down his other deck. And I think that's the missing puzzle piece.
Oh,
but
gosh, dude, you are
right?
so on point with that, man. I'm telling you, because I know this because when my buddy and one of my friends and I were playing with this, this is probably 3 years ago, I remember saying there is a way for me to be better at his own strategy than him. And I started working on searching, and now I'm not Googling and just trying to find the perfect card, but in a sense you are. I mean, you're looking through like the more recent sets saying, what card can I stumble upon, right? That's going to now open my mind to saying, okay, there is a different way to play this deck. Let me get rid of these 3 cards and replace them with these 3 cards out of a 60 card deck. And that alone is, going to be, what is that? Like 3 cards of 60 is what, 5%. So like if 1 out of 20 cards that you're pulling could be one of those cards that you've added. So you've got a slightly different chance at winning in a different way that your opponent might not know is the way you're trying to win the game. And sometimes that's all it takes is just a slight deviation from the norm to get your opponent to think one way, and you drill them with your strategy. And that's the fun way of playing this game. Just create it in your mind and build it with the cards that are out there. I mean, as short as I can make it. As sweet as I can put.
Yeah, for me, and we every once in a while we come back to this, and whenever I do this thought loop, it ends on, I'm gonna do that, but it'll start more with Arena, Like I'll be playing Arena first. But I'm excited either way. But it's about time for our last segment, which is normally Sejum Satisfaction, but we're going to do a test segment today, just for the sake of testing some new segments. And Sejum Satisfaction will be back.
He'll be back. He wants to make an
but
appearance.
yeah, dude, I want him to make one too.
Hey.
But the segment is where, what, or why.
Ooh. Let's start with where.
All right, the where is it's the plantation. Where I trade time for paper and paper for happiness. It's quite the grim place.
Quite the gruel. Yeah. The Grim Reaper. All right, well, did we just jump into the what?
The what is a box of wonder, cardboard, and more.
Well.
And for the third, it would be the why. The why is to share with the world the things I love. And so what the heck am I talking about? I'm basically, the plantation I'm calling is like where I slave. It's my job. So this happened at my job. I got a box of cards together. I filled it with, I put a PSA card in there. It was a PSA 10 Slow Bro. I put some deck boxes that are old because I had prepared this for my boss's son because he's in a Pokemon trading card club. And I kept saying I was going to bring him cards. It's something I've done for coworkers and their kids in the past. I just like sharing the things I like about the hobby. So I put like the decks of cards because it's what he likes. I put the PSA card because it's what I like. I threw in a box, or not a box. I threw in one of the booster packs from the rare single booster box of Prismatic Evolutions in there. So he'll have, he opened a pack of these before I did. And it's because I know he can't find them because I can't find them. So it's like, dude, think of the feeling I gave this kid. He's into Pokemon. He's learning Pokemon. He's battling for the first time, but he can't get Pokemon. And then his mom brings home this box. You don't know what this is. You don't know who this man is. Some man brought you a box, and it had decks for you to build up. It had a PSA card, and it had the pack that you cannot find to buy that he gets to open up. And it's just like, I asked, I gave it to her. She was unimpressed. She has no idea what Pokemon is. I was just like, here's a box. Give it to your kid. And then she just told me in passing the other day, like, he just went, all she said was, oh, by the way, he went crazy over that box. And, dude, it made me feel so good and happy imagining how he was feeling. And I'm glad she told me that. Kevin, how does this make you feel, like this story?
This makes me feel young again.
Right?
It does. It brings
me
me
back. It's that nostalgia. Because you remember those feelings, I bet, too, with Pokemon.
Yes, as I've described on this podcast. On a trip to Nova Scotia with my dad and my brother, we had a long, terribly nauseous trip on the seas in a ferry that seemed like a cruise at that point because it was the biggest boat I had ever been on. And what was the rewarding feats of getting through that experience was during it, there was a little tiny circle window with waves crashing in the distance and a weird island with seagulls at one point that was kind of weird. But that was just when I was not staring at the two packs of Pokemon cards that my dad got for myself, and then he probably got my brother too. And we got to open them up and, probably screaming in delight at the cards that we were that we had. And, my dad at the time was probably clueless to what, okay, great. I'm glad you got that card. Leave me alone. This was supposed to be a moment where I can take some shut eye and just enjoy this trip. And me and my brother losing our minds and jumping on the bunk beds in that room. And it was just all about those cards that we had. And I know that there's probably 80 or 90% of those cards from those two packs are still in my collection, in my binder. which I will soon obtain. But yeah, it just brings me back to those moments where I see these cards for the first time ever, and Hitman Lee, Hitman Chomp, or whatever these these original cards from that set were. Even the Fossil set, there's a lot of cards that were big in my childhood from those sets, and this makes me remember how much I fell in love with these cards and those images and the settings. Each character was in its own world, and I got to experience where that character was based off of where the card put me. And it's cool to see that even now, young kids are fighting to rip open these packs to experience that same joy.
Well, it's clear that it made a pretty big impact on you, like with those memories in that story, and with this story. If you were to rate this, because the segment is where, what, when, and wow. So now it's time to put a value on the wow. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lamest thing, and 10 being just wow. How would you rate this story here? As in terms of wow factor, which it's open-ended on exactly what that means. So you help kind of rate this right here and now too.
My guttural reaction is just rate it a 10, because this is, again, everything that
this is peak
we're
wow.
talking. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're sharing, and what we're promoting. In a sense, with just letting and reminding, the younger generations that there's this much fun all over the place. Just got to stumble upon it and enjoy it.
Well, you heard it here, folks. This is a 10 out of 10 wow. And I would challenge you to, whatever you're doing in your life, whatever your hobby is, to take some part of that hobby and to share it with someone else. For me, it wouldn't just be the little gift box, but it would probably be particularly the pack, because he gets to open the pack, and the PSA 10 cards. And I would challenge you to try to stir up some of those same nostalgic feelings, or make a core memory like you had in your story for someone else. So that's my call to arms, and we'll just end with wow.
Wow. Well, Michael, with that, bring us home, send us off.
Well, next time I think we will talk a bit about just one topic I'll give you here. I want to talk about card catalogs for keeping track of your collection, and what might be the best one and what might be the right one for me, and maybe Kevin might find one too. And bye until next time.
Well, I think I'm going to have some homework and some work to be done on that note. So again, as always, what a pleasure. And to the listeners, thanks again for joining us. We will catch you all next time.